Kouri Richins presented herself to the world as a successful Utah real estate agent and a grieving mother. She even wrote and published a children's book to help kids cope with the sudden loss of a parent. A jury just convicted her on all counts for murdering her husband, Eric, using a massive dose of fentanyl. What makes this conviction remarkable is the massive investigative vacuum at the center of the trial. Police never found a murder weapon. They found no fentanyl residue on the cocktail glass Kouri handed her husband, and she never confessed to the crime. There was zero direct physical evidence linking her to the poison. The defense team recognized this physical evidence vacuum and built a high-risk trial strategy around it. They refused to call a single witness to the stand. They gambled entirely on the legal standard of reasonable doubt, the requirement that jurors must be virtually certain of a defendant's guilt to convict. They bet that without a smoking gun, the state couldn't clear that hurdle. Prosecutors took a different route. They relied on a death-by-a-thousand-cuts strategy, layering dozens of invisible forensic data points to prove that you can secure a murder conviction without a single drop of physical proof. To understand how the state built their case, we have to look at the timeline leading up to the murder. Kouri ran a house-flipping business called Kouri Richins Realty that was quietly falling apart. This chart shows her company's debt leaping from $2.2 to $6.7 million in 1 year, incurring thousands in overdraft fees. To survive, she secretly took out a $250,000 home equity line of credit, using their house as collateral. Defaulting meant losing their family home. Upon Eric's death, Kouri stood to inherit a $1.4 million life insurance policy. That influx of cash would instantly wipe out her immediate business debt and cover the hidden loans. She was facing imminent bankruptcy and the destruction of her marriage. Eric's death offered a direct, mathematical escape route from her financial collapse. While the defense tried to point the jury toward uninvestigated rumors about Eric buying drugs on his own, investigators were pulling Kouri's digital footprint. Forensic experts recovered hundreds of deleted text messages from her phone. Those deletions perfectly aligned with the exact window of time surrounding Eric's murder. Her browser history showed specific searches for untraceable poisons, mixed right alongside casual searches for luxury goods. Then, investigators found a text message sent to a new boyfriend just weeks after Eric's death. In it, Kouri asked what it feels like to kill someone. These digital breadcrumbs dismantled her carefully crafted image as a grieving widow. Instead of a sudden tragedy, the data exposed a calculated step-by-step plan executed right around the time Eric consumed the legal dose. The state's strongest behavioral evidence came from inside a jail cell. While awaiting trial, Kouri authored a document known as the Walk the Dog Letter. It was a 6-page set of handwritten instructions directing her family members to memorize a fabricated narrative. She explicitly told them to push an airport drug story to investigators to explain away Eric's death. She included specific tactical instructions, demanding her family meet in person and leave their phones behind so they could evade police wiretaps while getting their story straight. In criminal law, this is called consciousness of guilt, the principle that a person's attempts to hide evidence or manipulate witnesses show they know they committed the crime. An innocent person does not need to script alibis and orchestrate a cover-up from behind bars. When the jury finally retreated to deliberate, they had to resolve two entirely different views of the legal system. The defense argued that circumstantial evidence, proof that relies on an inference to connect it to a conclusion of fact, inherently leaves room for reasonable doubt. The state countered that layering financial, digital, and behavioral facts together creates an inescapable web. After a 3-week trial, the jury made their choice. They completely rejected the defense's gamble and found Kouri Richins guilty on all charges. You no longer need a murder weapon or a confession to prove a murder. A killer's crushing financial debt, their deleted text messages, and their attempts to manipulate witnesses leave a much louder confession than a physical smoking gun ever could.